One yad. Here's this.
35910. Looking larger than life.
All right.
Order in the court. Order in the court.
Now, what are we holding?
Holding it. Amarav Kibar Ashi Amarav Kufir Chesam and Beis. Amarav Kibar Ashi Amarav.
Can you tell us that?
Chullin.
Amarav Kibar Ashi Amarav.
What page?
Daf Kufir Chesam and Beis.
Thank you.
All right. Yesterday we were discussing yad, handles, shomer, the protectors of fruit. So just in case you weren't tuned in yesterday, here's the yad, the handle of a fruit, if it's a stem of the grapes, or the bone on a meat. So we're talking about whether this can combine with the meat and the fruit as the shear. We need a kibetza. And let's say you don't have a kibetza of meat, could you use the handle as part of the kibetza? Now we're discussing the handle of hechsher tumah. So this is not a good picture because there's no hechsher tumah on this meat. But say, pretend that this is a grape and this is the vine, this is the stem. Could I sprinkle water just on this part, on the stem? And now the grape becomes mukhshir l'kabel tumah. Because all fruit has to be wet before it becomes tummy. Correct. We're not going into all the halachas of hechsher tumah. The point is the handle part of the fruit or not for hechsher tumah? Says the Gemara, Omarav, yesh, Omarav Chiya Barashi, Omarav, yesh yad l'tumah ve'ein yad l'hechsher. The handle doesn't work for hechsher tumah. So if you sprinkle it with water, the rest of the fruit doesn't become tummy. Rabbi Yochanan Omar, yesh yad l'tumah u'lehechsher. There is a yad. The yad does work for hechsher. But Michael Mifli, where's the machloikis? Yibayisem esvari, yibayisem ekra. Either it's a logical machloikis or they argue in the pasuk. Yibayisem ekra ma'asava mikra midrash lefanov v'lo lefnei fanov. So we have the pasuk right over here. As you can see, you don't need to read it. You don't need to understand it. It's color coded. There's red, blue, and green. Can you take the green and learn out of the red, or because it's blue in the middle, it ruins it. It stops the limud. So if you could go before and before, in other words, does the green have to learn from blue, which is before lefanav, or it could go even lefnei fanav, to the beginning of the pasuk. The beginning of the pasuk talks about hechsher tumah. V'chiyutan mayim, you have to put water al zera on top of a seed. This is the pasuk of hechsher tumah. And then it says, hu lochem. Lochem, we said yesterday, is referring to a yad. So can you use the word yad and bring it to the beginning of the pasuk, like the purple arrow? You like that? Not bad. I actually need a few questions now. I need to bring my heartbeat down a little bit. I was running here, yeah?
It falls on the vein. Oh, that's what you're talking about?
In the meat.
In the niblasam. So the yad is part of the niblasam.
Fell on the fruit after it got wet. That's been ivlasa. You're talking about a different word. That's a different pasuk that tells us that it has to be the actual meat and not bones. That's a different pasuk. This pasuk over here is just talking about hechsher tumah in general. Once a fruit gets wet, then a nevela touched that fruit, the fruit becomes tameh because it was wet. And now we're talking about the last word in the pasuk, which is talking about a yad of tumah, the bone. Can it also be machshel kabel tumah? Says the Gemara. Okay, so that's the machlokes. Could we go all the way back to the beginning version, the brayso like Rabbi Yochanan, that a yad is part of the fruit for hechsher tumah? Now another halacha. Ukeshem shem kabel tumah ela l'kishi tolshu. We take this for granted. Something becomes tamei only once it's not mechuber. It can't be attached to the tree. So if you sprinkle water on your grapes, and now here's today's sugya. We must remember these shitas because the Gemara basically is going to go up and down with these shitas, at least for the first Amud. Very simple. We're talking about a yad. You have a piece of meat. Where is it? Lost it already. The kitzer, the pulki, right? This is the handle, this is the meat. How much meat do I need? What size of a fruit do I need in order for a handle to be starved to the shear? Could I have a tiny little nothing? Does it have to be something? So basically we're going to be discussing two shiurim today, just the shear of a kazayis and the shear of a pul. Kazayis is an olive and a pul is a bean. A bean is much smaller than a kazayis. It's even smaller than a half a kazayis. Those are two shiurim. Omer Rav, en yad lepachas mikazayis. Rav says in order for a yad to work, the fruit it's attached to, the food, the meat, it has to be at least one kazayis. The ain shoymer lepachas mikapul. So yesterday we discussed two things. We have a yad and a shoymer. A yad is a handle, a shoymer is a protector. The yad has to be a kazayis. The shoymer, which we said is more like the fruit, is closer related to the fruit because it is a protector of the fruit, whereas the handle is not a protector, it just holds the fruit, it helps you carry the fruit, but it's not part of the fruit as much as the shoymer is, the protector. So therefore the protector is a smaller shear. It needs to be the size of a bean, a large bean.
Are we talking about like if a cluster of grapes, each grape itself is less than a conveyor, you've got the handle, then you've got the different grapes attached to it.
Correct. So
That's the question, whether they add up
So
together.
yeah, so you're bringing up a good point. It's Rashi talks about it extensively here. We're talking about a small. We're talking about you have to get to a shear of a kibetz. You finally do have a kazayis food, and out of it comes a handle. How's that going to help me? I need to get to a kibetza. So Rashi says that we're talking about a bunch of these guys or other food, and you want to use this food, this grape, let's say. You want to use this. This is not a kibetza, right? Everybody agrees this is smaller than an egg. But I have other pieces next to it. I have this, I have that. And now I want to use this grape or this whatever this is with a stem coming out of it. And together with this guy, I have a kibetza. That's how Rashi learns. Tosfos doesn't like it so much because they're not attached. They have to be attached. So he learns that they are attached, but they're not attached. They're attached to the point that if I lift it up, the other one is going to fall down, fall away, it's going to break off, but they're somewhat attached.
Like a
So that's a whole, yeah.
They're not really attached, but they're attached through the vine.
Well, they are attached. Those guys are attached, I would say. Grapes are sort of attached. But yeah, you can use that as an example if you want. That's more of a technical question. How do we get to a kibetza? But we're discussing right now, this fruit by itself, how large does it have to be? If you want to use yad, if you want to use handle, then it has to be large. It has to be a kazayis. If you want to use a protector, you want to use this wrapper, let's say, so the fruit has to be smaller. It doesn't have to be as large as kazayis. It could be even the size of a bean, which is much smaller if you want to use the wrapper, the protector, as part of the shear. That's Rav.
What about a complete fruit, like a grape? Does that make a difference?
I see you went to the shear yesterday. Didn't you? Yes. Bria that we're going to get to. That's on the end of Amid Aleph today. Omer Rav Yad lepachas mikazayis vein shomer lepachas mikvul. Rabbi Yochanan Omar yesh yad lepachas mikazayis. So if we stop right over here, what does this mean? How do you learn Pashut, simple Pshat, without Rashi? Yesh yad lepachas mikazayis. You have a handle that's less than a kazayis. So how much is it? Anything. Says Rashi, no, it has to be at least a bean. Why? Rashi proves it because otherwise he would say both halachas in one shot, and he would say yad and shomer are less than a kazayis, or less than a pul. So Rashi proves. So that's how we have to learn Pashup Pshat in the Gemara. Yesh yad lepachas mikazayis. A handle has to be at least a pul, has to be a bean, but not as much as Rav said a kazayis. And now we're going to go. The Gemara is going to just ask questions. Is it kazayis or is it a pul? I have 2-3 brises that seem like one way or the other, or both ways. And what do? How do we reconcile these brises?
All in all, how much does it have to be to do
A kibetza. You need kibetza. And from Rashi, it seems like there's a machlokes if to receive. Everybody agrees to give out tumah. You need a kibetza. The question is if even to receive. So from Rashi, it seems both ways you need for sure kibetza. There's machlokes.
So the easiest way to say is that the yad or the shomer is, I don't know, most of the beitza, and the
Yeah, no, but you can't say that because the Gemara says kazayis.
no, the yad. I'm saying the yad itself is
Five-
almost a full beitza.
I don't know why they don't learn like that. The Taisus doesn't. None of the Rishonim learn like that. It seems like it's because the yad is probably smaller than the fruit, not larger. You don't have a giant stem and then the tiny little
Why not?
thing. I know. I don't know why they don't. Nobody answers that.
The bone with the what's it called, bone marrow inside.
We're gonna get to actually a sugya that says that a giant bone with a tiny little piece. Yeah, you're right. Enochanami. There must be a reason why they don't go into that. I don't know. I was thinking that. It's not even one of the nobody discusses it. A giant. It seemed like it was pasha to Rashi that there's a bunch of. Why didn't Rashi answer it? Look at Rashi. Rashi says we're talking about a bunch of fruit. There's other fruits there with handles. Well, this has a handle together, just so like you're saying, a giant bone with a tiny. I don't know why. There must be a simple answer that I'm missing here. Meisvei v'yesh shomer l'pachas mikful, and so Rabbi Yochanan says that when it comes to shomer, so basically there's no shear. It's less than a bean. So any fruit, anything that has a peel, the peel could be much larger than the fruit and come up to a kibetza, and that's it. Meisvei. Very interesting question here. So the Brisa is like this. Everybody agrees that if you take a bone, this white thing is the bone, and it has a kazayis meat at the end, and you stick just the bone part. By the way, this is human. This is a real mace, not a fake. This is not a sheretz. This is a human bone. You stick it into a house, just the bone part, the whole house becomes tamei. But the meat didn't go into the house because the bone, the yad, is a conduit for tumah. Since at the end of the bone you have a kazayis, then the whole house becomes tamei. So where's the machlokes? The machlokes is if you have two bones, and each bone contains a half of the shear. Can you combine the two half shiurim and stick just the bones through the window and create a tumah in the house? Says the Brisa, Shnei atzomois v'aleim shnei chatzois zeisim v'hichnis rosheim shniim. Shniim means over here, you have to be goyer shniim, not shnaim. Shniim means the other part of the bone that has nothing on it. Lebayis, v'abayis mahil aleim, and you create a oil, a tent over it. Habayis tomei, Yehuda ben Akoisa oimer, mishum Rabbi Yaakov v'heich shnei atzomis mitzarvim l'kezayis. So you have the Tanakama. So if we look deeply, not deeply, if it's just on the surface of the Tanakama, very simple. He says that even a half a kezayis is enough to have a yad. Because he has two half a zaysim. Who cares if it's two half a zaysim? He says this half a zayis and a yad, and this half a zayis and a yad, both of them together, I create a full zayis. But I have a situation where I have a half a zayis. Now Rav says I need a full kezayis. So that can't go according to Rav. Rabbi Yochanan says I don't need a full kezayis, I need a pull. A pull is actually less than a half a kezayis. So the fact that the Tanakhama says a half a zayis and a half a zayis is great.
Why can't you say that the oil is being starved?
It is mitzaref them. But I have a situation where I have a yad without a kezayis. Throw it into the garbage. I can't be mitzaref. I could be mitzaref two half a zaysim, I can't be mitzaref the yad. The yad part is not good. I have a yad for a full zayis. I don't have a yad for a kezayis. I can't combine the two things. I can't combine an apple and an orange and one yad and say, my house is being mitzaref them. It's not a yad for an apple. It's not a yad for an orange. It's for both. You know what I'm saying? In terms of meat, yes, you're right. I have enough meat. The house is mitzaref enough meat. It makes two half zaysim as a whole part of meat. But the yad part, the house can't do anything for me. I don't have a yad to kazayis. I need a yad and a kazayis, and then I don't have.
You put only one yard in, is that enough, even if there's not a kazayis of meat?
No,
To make the house
no.
remain?
Why how would it be enough? I need a full kazayis with a yad
You have to have the full kazayis of a basar.
at the end of the yad. Correct. So, and then Yehuda ben Akoisa oimer mishum Rabbi Yaakov, he says it doesn't work. So now the Gemara just goes very simple. The simplest of the simple. V'Rav hai b'may mokim lo. Now Rav has to get along with the Brisa, and Rabbi Yochanan has to get along with the Brisa. But the Brisa doesn't get along with anybody because it says both shitas. It says on the one hand that a half a kazayis, the yad, is good, and then it says that the Yehuda ben Akoisa says that a half a zayis is no good. So either way, Rabbi Yochanan is not going to go well with Yehuda ben Akoisa, and Rav is not going to go well with the Tanakama. But they have to. But we have to right. So But there's a better way to answer it. You could say simple. The Rav says like Yehuda ben Akaisa, but there's even a better way. It doesn't mention anywhere in the Brisa that we're talking about a yad. Maybe we're talking about a shomer, and then the shomer you have a less shear of a pile, according to Rav. The Rav Haiben Mai Mokim Lo Ibiyad. If it's talking about a handle, now what's the difference here? We're talking about a piece of meat, right? This piece of meat, this part is in the house. Now it doesn't say anywhere in the Gemara what else is going on in the other part. You could say that you have this piece of meat at the other hand, and then this is called a yad, or there's no meat here. And we're talking about the marrow. You see this red guy over here, the marrow inside. And then the bone turns into a shomer. But there's one trick here. No yad at all. No yad at all, talking about shomer. Shomer even less of a shear, even if there's a pile of marrow, this acts as a shomer. But obviously the meat, the marrow, is not in the house. If the marrow is in the house, there's nothing to talk about. Then you have a kazayis in the house. So the marrow is in this part of the bone. And this part of the bone is empty, no marrow. Now we have a big problem, because yesterday when Noam asked me what's going on in the sugya, what?
Then it couldn't be hechsher. It couldn't be the
Shomer?
shomer. Now it's not being shomer over again.
Hold on, exactly. So that's exactly what I'm bringing up. Yesterday, Noam said he doesn't understand what's flying, and he spoke in the name of the whole shir that they don't know what they're flying. Remember that? He's right. He said in the voice, he didn't know what he was talking about, but he was right. Because I actually skipped a very important part in that sugya. Over there it says that in order for a shomer to be a shomer, it has to be literally physically above the meat that it says kenegdo. It says the word over there kenegdo. What does that mean? If you're underneath an umbrella, so the umbrella protects you, but if the umbrella is to the side of you, it doesn't do anything. It's not protecting you, it's protecting the sidewalk. For the shomer to be a shomer, the skin has to be directly above the meat below it.
When it grew, now?
Now,
What if you
now.
put it over a little later?
Okay, so that's okay, fine. You're going into good kashas. But one thing's for sure, in our case, that there's no marrow over here. This is stuck in the house, and inside this bone there's zero marrow. The marrow is over here.
Why do you have to?
So why is this a shomer for over here?
You said there's less than a kazayis of marrow over there, and the shomer is
Mitzar of them?
Mitzar.
Okay, but still, there's no kazayis. Where is it? It's not a shomer. It was a shomer for half a kazayis. But that's not a shomer.
That's not a shomer.
That's not a shomer. You need a shomer for a pull. You need a shomer for a pull. So how much do you have inside this part over here? A pull or not a pull? Tell me.
you have more than a pull, less than a kazayis.
You have more than a pull? So then there's no question over here. Then it's mitame. It's mitzaref. The bone is mitzaref to the pull.
It itself went inside.
This is together with the pull. You have a kazayis, right? That's what happened. So you have a pull in here. So then it went inside the house. There's nothing to discuss. So it didn't go into the house. The pull is over here. So then it's not a shomer. Memarav shach. Rashi says a very simple thing. We're going too much into this. Rashi says the bone is different than here. It's different than hide. A bone, if you crack it open over here, all the marrow will be destroyed. So this part, even though there's no meat in here, it's still a shomer that's going on over here. Okay, but at least we got back to this point, the very important halacha, that the shomer has to be directly above. That's what the word kenegdei meant yesterday in that sugya. Weiter. Says Gemara, very simple. So how does it go with the Rav? Rav says you need a full kazayis.
Everyone understands now.
Shkoyach. Ibiyad. If we're talking about the halacha of yad, in other words, we're not talking about the bone marrow, we're talking about physically there's meat on top of the bone, like in this picture. Kashir Reisha, the Reisha says that I don't need a full kazayis. I take 2 half kazayis with the yadois, and I'm mitzaref them. Rav says I need a full kazayis. It doesn't go according to Rav. So what's the obvious answer? And if we're talking about that's protecting the bone marrow, Kashya Seifa. The Seifa says that there's nothing here. Yudah ben Akaisa says he's the Seifa. Nothing's mitzaref. Why not? You have a pile, a half a kazayis is a pile, and that's enough for a shomer. If we're talking about a shomer, why does Yudah ben Akaisa say it's no good? It is good. It is tamei. You're talking about a yad, and Yudah ben Akaisa says it's not tamei because you don't have a kazayis. That's all he's saying. Rav holds you need a full kazayis, so he doesn't go according to the Tanakama. He goes according to Yudah ben Akaisa. It might be problematic, maybe, because there's some mention here that Rav would prefer to align himself with the halacha. Okay, he says like Yudah ben Akaisa. We're not even talking about meat on top of the bone. We're talking about meat in the bone. And it fits right into the Tanakama. Tanakama says it's mitzdarv. You don't need a kezayis because we're talking about a shomer. A shomer is the shear of the left shear of the pull, and that's what the Tanakama says. If you have two of these guys and you stick them into the house, tameh. Why?
What do you need two?
What?
What do you need two?
Oh, I don't know. Why do you need to? So maybe it's less than a half a kezayis is a poil. Good kasha. I don't know. What does Rashi say?
To be Miktameh, it has to be a Kazais.
What?
Maybe to be Miktameh, it has to be a Kazais. Maybe to be Nitma, it has to be.
No, he's asking. You have a half a kezayis. That's a poil. That's enough to make a shomer with this thing. Why do you need to? I don't know. Good china. It's a good point. What's the teretz? It's mamish a good point. Maybe it's lavdafka. It's this. I don't know. All good kashas with simple tirutzim, I bet. What's he did when we need him? Okay. Rabbi Yochanan. So what does Rabbi Yochanan say? Rabbi Yochanan Omar Kula biyad. Now, it's talking about a yad over here, and he holds, Rabbi Yochanan is the one that holds you need a kezayis. And Memela, you have two of these guys, and you have a kezayis. Udomer ketana kamo. Now, Rabbi Yochanan could also say shomer l'chayra, but Rashi points out that and that's basically what Menachem says. Rashi's medayik from the Gemara. It says two is two. Why did the Gemara say four? According to Rabbi Yochanan, you could go even less. A shomer needs less, so that's why we're not talking about a shomer according to Rabbi Yochanan. Toshma.
Two we don't need.
What?
Even two we don't need.
According to Rabbi Yochanan, why? You need a kezayis. Oh, we're talking about a yad. According to Rabbi Yochanan, we're talking about a yad needs a kezayis. And that's why I need two.
No,
You
Rabbi
need-
Yochanan says yes, the postman is
No, but in shomer is less, in a yad you need.
no, not going to Rabbi Yochanan.
Yes, yad lepokos kezayis. Yes, no.
Rabbi Yochanan says-
Right, you need a pull. So again, he's saying the same kasha, the same kasha. Yeah. Okay. What's the teretz? Half a poil, half a thing is half a kezayis is already the whole shear. I don't know.
The real terror says 740.
What?
740.
Okay. Yeah. Tashma. Rabbi Yehuda Omer kulis sheyesh alei kezayis. Basar. So we're talking about a giant bone, the thigh bone. The thigh bone is a huge bone. It has on top of it.
Reuben says maybe that's the answer. To be metami, you need a kazayis. For the yad to be mitzaref, it could be less than a kazayis. All in all,
That's what Noam was saying, I think.
That's why you need both bones.
That's
in
what
order to
you
get
need
a
both
kezayis
of.
to be
All in all,
in the
it's a
house.
kazayis, that's metame. But each individual could be a
To be
full.
Nitma, you need a pole. Miktameh, you need a Kazais.
Every time in the house, you need a kezayis plus.
For it to be Mahel.
Right.
Okay, I hear. Weiter. Rabbi Yehuda Omer kulis sheyesh alei kezayis basar gereres kula tuma. If you have a bone that on it, total, on and in it, we'll see, go both ways. It has a kezayis basar, so it could be tameh, mitama. It itself can become tameh. Even if the shear of meat in it, on it, is less, it's kapul. Again, the same thing. How does Rav say? Rav says you need a kezayis. Ibiyad kashi seifa. Then we don't understand the shita that says even a pull. Ibe shomer kashi reisha. And if you're talking about a shomer, then why do you need a kezayis? A shomer you need less than a kezayis. Ibai same ibiyad. Vudama ki Rabbi Yehuda. He holds like Rabbi Yehuda, and that's better for him because that's the halacha. Ibai same ibishomer ka'acherim. We're talking about a shomer. That this kulas, this thigh bone is a protecting the bone marrow inside of it, and that's why even a pull is enough. Rabbi Yochanan Omar kula b'shomer. We're talking about the whole thing is a shomer. Now, Rabbi Yochanan could have said we have to rush a little bit here, but Rabbi Yochanan could have said also it's talking about a yad. It's talking about yad, but he preferred to say shomer because we're talking about a kulas. Why in the world did the Brisa mention arrows? This svar the Gemara says in this nekuda. Why does the Brisa say kulas? There's 1,000 other bones in a cow. Kulas has a lot of marrow. So it's more mistaber to Rabbi Yochanan that we're talking about a shomer versus a yad. And he says, that and Rabbi Yochanan, who says, typically says by a shomer, you don't even need a pull, less than a pull. So he holds like a chayrim. In fact, the Gemara, pull kamri, they say specifically you need at least a bean. Rabbi Yochanan says by shomer you don't even need a bean. I did the kamar tano kamo shiuro, kamri inu nami shiuro. They were joking. They were just saying. The Tanakama review that says you need a kazayis, he says no, you just need a pull. They didn't mean you need a pull. They were just saying you don't need a shear. You're saying you need a real shear kazayis. We're saying you don't need a shear. They weren't serious. When I was learning this, I was worried about your faces. I was even worried about this guy too, but especially you. What?
It's like, we're going to make up a fake shear for you.
A who?
A fake shear.
If you do this, you're Chaim Bisa. Yeah. No, I mean.
Malchus. I mean Malchus. Malchus meaning not even Misa.
It's because you said Misa, so I have to say something.
Can you take a picture? Take a picture.
It's Gila, I'm going to say straight up.
No, this is like it's a joke shear. Kapul. Whoever heard of it? You ever heard of a pull shear? Nothing.
It's a fool.
Fine. Omar Rava. They cannot mean the B'shomer Askin on Diktani Kulis, and this is what Rashi brought before. It says, since it says Kulis, Shma Mino. Itma Reb Chanina Omar Zehu Shir. That for a shomer, the shear is a pull, but it's a shear. Here we're going into it's a shear. There is a real shear called a pull. Ain't a shear. It's not a real shear. Pull is not for real. Ain't a shear. Pull. It says in the Brisa, Achirim say it's a pull. I did going down to Kamishuro, Kamino Namishuro. Toshma. Loza ben Azario metar b'shel pull umetame b'shel kitnis. Talking about the peas in a pod. You have a bean in some sort of sharvid in a pod. Is the pod mitzaref to the bean for tuma? So Reb Lazar says Reb Lazar ben Zayir mitayr b'shel poil umetame b'shel kitnis. He says it depends how big the bean is. If it's a larger bean, then I don't really need the protector. I don't need a protector. But if it's a smaller bean, then I can't allow it to get dirty, because if it gets dirty, I'm going to have a hard time washing it. So I need the shomer. So if I need the shomer, then it's a shomer and it's mitzdaref. If I don't need the shomer, I don't care about the peel, the protector, then it's not mitzdaref.
Mitahar meaning it's not mitzdaref.
Mitahar means it's not mitzdaref because it's big, the shell, this pod.
So nothing to do with the size.
It has to do with the size.
Why?
Because the smaller it is, the more I want a protector.
I know, but I'm saying it's not like the Mother we just
No, not a size, a physical, not a sheer size, just a technical, a technical size. How if I have small, tiny beans, how am I going to wash them? I have no way to scrub the sides of them. They get full of dirt. What am I going to do? So I need a protector for now. Says the Gemara, so now the Gemara is learning mimashmisha means to be mimashmish, to touch. I don't want to. I need to touch the outside, the exterior. I don't want to touch the inside. So you see that what? You see that not like Rav, that I don't need a pull. I don't need even a smaller bean, even a smaller size is mitzdaref for a shomer. We're not talking about a shomer. We're talking about the stem, and he wants to hold. He's holding onto the stem, and he carries with him a bunch of pods, and that's why I need to use it like that. Not I'm worried to touch it. I just want to hold onto it so I can grab a bunch of them, and together we have a shear. We're not talking about shomer. We're talking about a yad, or in this brisa, that one seed. Is not a shear of a kazayis. You have to come onto a bunch of shiurim or a kibetza. You need a lot. This is what he was saying before. So now, once you have this answer, you can answer that for the things that we had before as well. And when he said that it's not good that you need a pull, he's talking about half a pulls. Half a pulls, you need a shear of a pull. But if you have a tiny little thing that's a full bria, it can be much less than a pull. Can you have food on inside and you have two layers? Are the two layers mitzdaref to the shear? If it's like two shells, two peels, we know for a fact that the upper layer is nothing. Vasnan, it says mufurish, Rabbi Yehuda Omer shalish klipas bebatzal. There's 3 layers in an onion. Pnimis ben shlema ben kedurim mitzarefes. The inner one that's white, that looks like the rest of the onion, it's an onion in fact, and we call it a peel because, okay, it's one of the layers, but it's an onion for all halachas, and memela, it's why? Because it's number 2 in line. So the outer one, you can't be mitzaref 2 peels. It's shomer agabe shomer. Let's go back to Rabbi Shaya shomer oichel shechil. So Rabbi Shaya shomer oichel shechil kukim boile. Here we have a different question. If you took a fruit and you split it in half, according to Tosfos, it's still attached somewhat, otherwise there's no question here. Rashi doesn't seem to say that. So you have a peel. Can you be mitzaref the 2 peels of 2 parts of the fruit to make it one? Given the high loy megin high, each one doesn't protect the other. Loy mitzarefin, there's no tziruf or yodilma. Given the high megin adidei, by megin adidei, mitzarefin perhaps and mitzaref. And that's what he meant by shnei shomrim ma'ashi tzarfu. Not that they're on top of each other, but they're next to each other. For instance, if you have a piece of meat, and you have a skin on top of the piece of meat, and the skin is cut down the middle. Can you be mitzaref and say, look, this piece of meat, this kazayis of meat underneath, this kibetza of meat underneath, has a total of a kibetza with both pieces of skin, or not? They're separate skins, and I can't combine the 2 together.
Is the shomer or not?
Are the shomer mitzaref together, or
Is
not?
1 piece of meat,
The meat is 1 piece.
and the skin is
The
separate.
skin is 2 pieces. That's all he's asking. The side by side, divided in the middle, cut. Can he be mitzaref 2 pieces of skin to make 1? Toshmar Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah mitayr b'shel poil u'mitam b'shel kitnis. Back to the peas in the pod. Mipnei sheroitzo b'mash mishon. So now, obviously, you have to come onto a few of these beans to make a shear. So you see that I could be mitzaref a few shomrim, because each bean has a different shomer. We weren't talking So again, you have to come on to the chita, again, the same thing. You have to come on to a bunch of chita. Why? Because you need to come to shear. And if you have to come to the shear of a kibetza, a kernel of wheat is much less than a kibetza. You have to come on to many kernels, and many kernels have many different shom, shomer. Why is it a shomer? Because if you have, here, ooh, this is a little dirty. So I asked Yeshua to bring me this morning. I heard that they grow everywhere. Apparently, it's hard to cut. It just keeps on going. Anyways, this is, whatever. Just we'll pretend it's wheat for a second. It has everything we need for wheat. I don't know what it is. He asked me what this is. I said it's good enough. These guys are shoymrim on each other. That's how we're going to be learning now. Each one of the kernels,
The hair?
no, the kernels inside, these guys are protecting each other.
One has a klipa.
Each one is protecting each other. Mushum shomer. Basically, they're all dependent on each other, the Gemara is learning.
The structure of the plant itself is dependent on each other. They're all building up on each other.
And what about the bottom one?
The bottom one is,
That's the best one. That's protecting all. What about the top one? How's it protecting? Okay, says the Gemara. Bishleim Eliyaso tzrichel tatiyasa. Tatiyasa might tzrichel Eliyaso. Why does the bottom one even need the upper one? The upper one needs the bottom one. The bottom one doesn't need anybody. He's the strongest guy. He's the guy on the bottom of the guy in Simchas Torah holding up all the guys. He doesn't need people. He's not holding up anybody. They're not holding him up. He's holding them up. The guy on top of the shoulders, how is he helping the guy in the bottom? He's not doing anything. Says the Gemara b'Chadara. We're talking about one row. This row, the right side, not the left side. And therefore, now the Gemara is saying, once I pluck any one of these guys out, for some reason they all fall down. That's what the Gemara reads. Maybe Nishtanu Atzvayim. I don't know exactly. I'm not a farmer. That's what it says here. Talking about one row. How do you have? So it's a whole row here. It's a whole row. Even if you take both rows together, I don't have an egg volume over here. So what's going on? Says the Gemara, Bechiti de Shimon ben Shetach. We're talking about something like this. These are kidneys of an ox, and minus this right over here. Put my finger in. This is how big Shimon Vashetach's wheat was. Each kernel was 2 of these. Even bigger. I don't know the size. This is not life size. This is smaller. Maybe it is.
Metaphorically, like how the fruit actually smells so big.
Yeah.
That was metaphoric.
What?
No, this is Shimon Vashetach. Gemara says. Rashi brings. It's interesting. Rashi says, if you look at the Lashon in Rashi here, he says it is the size of a shar hagadol. Over there, you look it up. It doesn't say shar hagadol. It was the shar. But a large ox, a huge ox. I don't think he means the shar hagadol. He means a large ox. 2 of his kidneys, the size of 1 bean. And memela, if you have a whole row, you have 30 of these kidneys. You certainly have a kibetza. So the Gemara says, once you come onto that, hashadas lachi. If you're already talking about giant kidneys, you don't need a whole row. 1 kidney or a half a kidney is more than a kibetza. Gufa. What?
No answer.
Where am I?
No answer.
No.
That's a statement, not a question.
It's a statement.
You have the case where a person sticks in the bone, and you have the end of it has 2 half a zaysim. Right? So that's the first brayso we had today. So now we're going into a sugya about a hair. Again, I have a question here. I don't understand if somebody knows, because Rashi in the beginning of the sugya says that when it says loy yad v'loy shomer, Rashi brings an example of hair. I don't see anybody talking about it. I'm not sure. I didn't really have time to jump into it.
You're talking about animal.
Yeah, you're talking about.
Animal hair is, we saw about a sheep, that the wall of the sheep
Yeah.
is protecting it.
Yeah. Okay,
Our
but
hair is-
one here. So now here's the question. Yeah. Yeah, but what about yad? Rashi says the Gemara over this loy yad loy shomer. It's neither.
Right. Oh.
It's neither. The Gemara says. Rashi says, what is it? Sorry. Fine.
It
So
says here.
hold on. Yeah.
Hair, a thick hair that can pick up.
Yeah. I'm getting there. Hold on. So if you're talking about a yad, if a hair, a single strand of hair, is it a yad or a shomer? What is the difference? Very important difference. If it's a shomer, as we said before, a shomer has to be directly above the meat. So you have to be talking about a hair that there's meat right below it. If it's a yad, it's just the handle. We don't care where the meat is. It could be a foot away. I'm holding the meat up by this hair. Now, Rish Lakish is going to hold that since I cannot lift up anything with one hair, the hair will break off and the hide will fall down. So that's not a handle. But a shomer, everybody agrees that a hair works for a shomer, even one hair, as long as it's below. So it says the Gemara. One hair strand cannot be a handle because it will break off. One hair could be a handle. You have a piece of skin and it has the full shear of a kizayis meat. This halach is not important to us. If it has a little strand of meat, that's a handle. And this is what we were looking for. One hair that's kenegdoi, meaning directly above the meat, not to the side of it. Tamei. So you become tamei by touching the hair.
It's a connector, so it's a shine.
Right. My lav mishum yad. Loi mishum shomer. But the Gemara didn't like shomer. The hair is on top of the hide. The hide is the shomer. How could a hair be a shomer? It's one step away. It's like the klipa of an onion that we said that the outer layer is nothing. So this outer hair is nothing. Says the Gemara, a hair actually penetrates the skin, goes deeper in, and it is protecting the meat. We had this question in Menachos, or this sugi Menachos. How could you write tefillin? Has to be complete, and if every piece of hide has microscopic holes from here, then you're not writing. Then it comes out that your ink is dripping into these microscopic holes. We learned this in Menachos. If the kulmus, if the pen just goes over it smoothly, I don't care if microscopically there's some hole there, a nuclear atomic hole. We don't care about.
I'm saying, how deep do you?
We are talking about the one strand that we're talking about is actually a handle. Look at this. Here's the milai. These guys are milais. So if I hold on to them, I got something going. But so it's a handle. I could lift up this thing, but maybe if I lift one, we could try it right now.
There you go.
No, nothing's in my hand. I fooled you guys. I'll go. Anyway, so this milai, a bunch of them together is a handle. So since a bunch of them together is a handle, even one of them by itself is mekabel tuma. If what do you call it? Okay.
Even Rish Lakish.
Yes. We're talking in Rish Lakish now. I could lift it together with its friends. And the Mela individually, it also has a halacha of tuma. Tuma goes through into this barley through these guys. What can I do with it? It's not barley. Okay, we'll stop right here. It's the middle of a line, but it's fine. We got to the end.
Thank you.
Zay Gesund, have a great, wonderful day. A lot of good kashas today.